really emphasize?
Well, I think it's always going to start with transition, no matter who you're playing. Carry over into the paint. How do you defend the paint? Keep Anthony Edwards, Carl out of the paint. Obviously, the rebounding. These guys are just dominating the glass right now. And then just going over their personnel, going over plays, going over how they're going to guard us, and making sure we're ready for all their defensive game plan, and as well as touching on whatever adjustments we may have to make. But yeah, a couple of really good days of practice, and I think everybody's ready. It's good to have a break, but it's kind of like leading up to round one. You had that week to prepare. I think our guys, I'm sure, same thing for them. Let's get this series started. It's going to be a madhouse tomorrow night, and looking forward to that atmosphere.
A process question real quick. So you just said you prepare, almost set the table for adjustments you might have to make. Like, is that something going into a series, likely this is how it's going to play out with adjustments? Or you?
Yeah, I mean, and we do that all year long. I mean, so most of the adjustments that we talk about are all things that we have used. So there's corporate knowledge there. But, it's not just the adjustments game to game. You have to make in-game adjustments. You got to be able to, quarter to quarter, out of a timeout, certain plays kicking our ass, you might have to make an adjustment on the fly, and you want them to be confident in that. So now we've gone through it. So you give them your game plan, and then with guys like Anthony Edwards, you're going to have to give them different looks. Karl Anthony Towns, you're going to have to give them different looks. So you kind of go over some of those things as well.
Michael, we always talk about who matches up well with who going into these long series. The Suns were a team that thought they matched up pretty well with Minnesota based on the regular season, and then obviously it goes the opposite way with the sweep in the playoffs. Is there anything about this Minnesota team, game plan, execution, and tangibles that kind of stands out to you in terms of them flipping a switch or being a little different in the playoffs to prepare for?
No. I mean, they're the best record in the West most of the year. They have 2 All-Stars. They're the 6th man of the year. They have a Defensive of the Year finalist. They have a Coach of the Year finalist. They had a guy score 50 points in the All-Star game. So I don't see them flipping a switch. They've been great all season long.
Coach Michael Porter was just commenting on your remarkable Tim Conley built such a dominant team here, and then now with what he's been able to build there and rework. What's it say about, I guess, Tim as a team builder to this point?
He's great.
What makes Anthony so difficult to guard, from a 3-level perspective?
Oh, just how strong and athletic, explosive he is, and there are no weaknesses there. He gets to the rim, as you mentioned. He finishes at a very high clip, can dunk on you, as we saw in that Phoenix series. If you're not there early, you might get caught on a poster. He can knock down the mid-range. He gets to the free throw line a ton. And his ability to shoot the 3 off the catch as well as off the bounce. I remember the game in this building, he had 10 threes. And I think the large majority of those threes were him just with the ball. He's a rhythm player, dancing with it, getting to his spots, and knocking down those pull-up threes from deep. So, as I mentioned, that's why you can't expect a KCP to just guard him. It's going to take 5 players giving him different looks, trying to keep him off balance to the best of our ability. But there's a reason everybody says that he's the future face of the NBA. He's a 22 years old, and who continues to find ways to get better and better and better, and a huge reason why they've had the season that they've had, one of the best in their history.
What did Monte mean to you when he was here? What's it going to be like to see him again?
Well, I mean, I've seen him, since he's left, whether he was in Washington, Detroit, and now in Minnesota. Obviously, I love Monte Morris. Was a big part of what we did here. Whatever was asked of Monte Morris, he went out there and did, whether backing up Jamal, playing with Jamal, but more than just a player. Like, Monte is just an outstanding person, somebody that I stay in touch with and will always stay in touch with, because when you're with each other and you build these relationships, man, like, you come to love and care about people, and that's how I feel about a Tim Conley, a Chris Finch, a Micah Nori, a Monte Morris, guys that have been here and are a big part of that banner that's hanging up there.
Coach, you obviously have played the Wolves a lot in the last 2 years, but you guys have been playing Rudy and Mike Conley a lot in the last 5-6 years. What are some of the challenges maybe of Mike that we haven't talked about?
Well, he's I think historically speaking, might be one of the more underrated, underappreciated players in in the last 20 years. And class act off the court, obviously we all know that, but on the court, his efficiency, his decision making, and we went over the personnel the other day with all these players, and I don't know why, but Mike Conley this year in our head-to-head meetings was great against us. He had a really good season, but every number across the board against us was way up. And so that's something that we have to concern ourselves with and make sure that we're doing a better job of him in this series. But him and Rudy have, since their days in Utah together, just tremendous on-court synergy. And it helps when you have Mike handling Rudy on the rim, and you have guys like Karl Anthony Towns, who could be one of the best shooting bigs of all time, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Alexander Walker, whoever else behind that. But Mike makes the right reads time and time again. He makes all of his teammates better. He's got no ego, and he's definitely a problem and a guy that is going to have our full attention.
Coach, how beneficial is it to be able, after these longer breaks, to open at home?
Very, very beneficial, very important. Obviously, we saw that last year. Having home court advantage throughout the finals was, I think, really instrumental in us going 16-4, having only lost the one home game. And our fans are excited, man. And Saturday night in this place, I get excited thinking about the atmosphere and just how it's come full circle from year one to now. And we've had one of the toughest places to play in the NBA for quite a while now. And yes, our players are a big part of that, but our fans are a huge part of that. So I know they'll be here and do their best to make this a tough place to play, and hopefully we can handle our business on the court.
I don't have a coach's eye, but it seems like a lot. I don't.
I thought all you guys did.
We just fake it. It seems like teams have really tried putting the rim protector off of Jokic and bringing him over more this year than even in years past. Do you feel the team is meaningfully improved, more comfortable, and maybe has more in the playbook to attack that, or do you feel it's kind of the same as what it was last year?
Oh, I think experience is the best teacher, and it allows you to be more comfortable. And I would agree, Adam. I think you are seeing it more and more. And that's a compliment to Nikola. You have to do different things when you're playing against a great player. And that cross match, as you mentioned, is one of the things that we've seen. The funny thing is with Rudy, we've seen that from Utah to now Minnesota. And obviously that allows him to roam, and he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate where he can just protect the basket. But I think our players, and most importantly, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, the guys that they try to help off of more, I think those guys have gotten more and more comfortable, efficient, effective in terms of how to handle that. So we've gone over it so many times this year. It's not something that you have to spend a lot of time with, because I think our guys have got pretty good at handling it. And we know what we need to do when that happens. And now the question is, can we do it correctly? And I have all the confidence in the world that we'll be able to handle that.
One more. How much of these two practices, have Jamal and KCP been able to participate in?
Yeah, KCP's been a full participant both days, and Jamal has been in and out of both practices, just trying to be smart with that calf, knowing that tip-off tomorrow night at 5 o'clock is priority number one. All right, thanks everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you.